taking you out to a police chase. Continues on a wild police chase right now, and we are learning some reports there that the suspect put other lives in danger by doing a carjacking as well during this pursuit here. And as you can see, these speeds are really going fast right now. Viewer discretion is advised here as these speeds looking above 100 at times. There, heavy traffic right now continues. We are going to see and wait and figure out how this all ends up right here on Live Now. To bring this to your attention, we'll stay on it until the conclusion. Of course, we got you covered as always on Live.
Not the car!
Suspect southbound in a silver sports car.
All right, we are getting some additional information right here for just getting this info in to us. So the suspect here allegedly carjacking a victim here and using a long gun as well. So this person is armed and heavily dangerous right now, and we are continuing to follow it for you all right here. Viewer discretion is advised as this suspect is very, very dangerous right now, and total disregard for everyone's safety as he has already carjacked somebody, and he's not too far from Disneyland, as you can see here from the Skyfox visuals here. Anaheim, Santa Ana, Garden Grove area right now being played here, and we got you covered right here on Live. You the top news and of course breaking news when it happens here, and police are going to be taking this very carefully because the suspect is such a wild card. Already showed a weapon, already carjacked somebody, and now we continue to wait just how this is all going to unfold. Just moments ago, suspect was going more than 100 miles per hour. Had to slow down now because of the traffic here in this area now, and we'll see what happens, which we know can always pose a lot of danger. So many that are just out and about on this Friday afternoon, just after 3:30 right there, and this suspect leading police on this chase right now in the Anaheim area, and not too far from Disneyland right now. Skyfox is able to pull out just a little bit more to kind of show us the traffic that this suspect is seeing.
Let those cars pass by. Joining the coverage now, we do have Christine Devine here in studio with me. Christine, this has been something else.
Really, Marla, you know, we get the call, pursuit. We all kind of jump into action here. This has become so much more than a pursuit. We heard earlier about road rage. Obviously, this person is in some kind of mindset of crime. You have this pursuit here going at these high rates of speeds when the freeway looks to be fairly open. If that driver wanted to get around these vehicles, look at these dangerous moves here to try to get around that unsuspecting vehicle. You have the speeds here at 95, 100 miles per hour here. And to witness what we witnessed there, very frightening for law enforcement and for anybody else, like you said, Marla, out there on the road. Look at the speeds picking up here. 3:30 here Friday night. We're going to have a lot more traffic, but right now, the speeds this driver's going at, signs that this is going to be perhaps a long night.
Yeah, right when you came into the coverage here, you saw those speeds pick up 100 miles per hour. So
but why?
Yeah, exactly. And we are hearing, Christine, that this is certainly a multi-agency effort, which absolutely makes sense given the severity of the situation. We're hearing CHP, Corona, Ontario, all involved at this point, including Riverside officials, trying to weave in and out of these unsuspecting drivers on this Friday afternoon, this getaway Friday, as we aren't even to the 4 o'clock hour yet. These people just trying to mind their own business. They think that traffic is relatively light, and
wow.
the result of those speeds, 110 miles per hour, Christine.
So law enforcement has to be gathering together to find out what they're going to do about this pursuit. Oftentimes when they're dangerous or there are high speeds, we know them to back off to perhaps take the pressure off the suspect, hoping they'll bring it to an end. But when you have a gun and shots are fired, that is a whole different ballgame here.
Oh my gosh.
Hard to predict where this driver is trying to go at this hour and at these speeds.
Yeah, at what point, and I mentioned this, I'll mention it again because it was an interesting moment beyond the shots fired, but on surface streets, this man stopped at a light, looked to the truck driver next to him, weaving in and out of traffic here live. It's hard to... Okay, let me regroup. Stopped and asked the driver next to him, seemed to be asking for directions, Christine. So it was almost as if clearly this person doesn't know where, not familiar with the roadways, still on the 91. That's been the case since we joined you about 10, 15 minutes ago. So what they can to stay out of custody. You see all the dust being picked up, given how fast that this driver is going. Again, this is a reckless driving hit and run suspect.
That car is totally free. Hey, don't make me commit a 187, homie.
It all started in the city of Chino. Here we are in the 91 westbound, now approaching the Downey-Norwalk area. Speeds now in the 80s. We've seen them up to 110 plus miles per hour, Christine.
You know, we've seen so many pursuits that end in an accident. Is this driver getting off the freeway or getting onto a different freeway? All right, surface streets now. How does this pursuit play out the way this driver's been driving? I'm going to imagine this driver's going to blow through red lights and stop signs, endangering the public. You think at 3:30 now, kids could be out of school, walking on the sidewalk there, families walking, people unsuspecting. And look at the way he's straddling the lines there to get around cars. 55 miles per hour. Oh, the wrong way now. Now the wrong way. Very dangerous pursuit.
Artesia Boulevard and Bloomfield Avenue in Downey-Norwalk. Now we're up to an intersection where he's going to have to play Frogger with this pickup truck here. He manages to get across, so now we're on the right side of the road here. Again, Artesia Boulevard and Bloomfield Avenue in the Downey-Norwalk area. Speeds in the 40s. But this is what we've seen pursuit suspects do time and time again. They make their way onto surface streets, then they find their way back on the freeway, whatever they can to stay out of custody.
Yeah, we think of places that they've tried to ditch the vehicle, perhaps going to an area that is you know, convenient for them, perhaps somebody they know, a family member, a relative, and even driving into areas that are comfortable for them. So does this driver know something about the Downey area? Why get off the freeway now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Joining our coverage right now, we want to bring in Joe Buscaino, former Los Angeles City Council and also police officer. You have plenty of experience, sir, when it comes to pursuits like this. You're obviously watching along. What do you make of this right here?
This driver knows something about the Downey area. Why get off the freeway now?
Are you talking about Joe Buscaino or Dennis Zine?
Oh, Dennis, I'm so sorry. I was told sorry about the mix-up.
I think we might have both of them, but let's go with Dennis because we hear Dennis loud and clear.
Dennis, we can hear you just fine. Go ahead. How dangerous is this, given what we know, that shots were fired and the speeds, and now we're on surface streets, Dennis?
Well, this is the type of pursuit that you can't terminate. You need to continue with this. The fact is, anyone who fires at a police officer, you don't know what they're going to do to the civilian population. So, you know, obviously, it's very dangerous. There's a jeopardy anytime you get in pursuit. But when someone fires at a police officer, that's a situation that you have to do everything you can to terminate this as quickly as possible. This pursuit is obviously what we see happening by the driving. Is extremely dangerous. It's a hazard to everyone, but when they shoot at a police officer, they're extremely dangerous. So they have to continue with this, and oftentimes they'll terminate a pursuit. But in this particular case, they can't terminate a pursuit once a person fires at a police officer, because then anyone in the public arena is then subject to what this person's doing. And I'm sure you're going to find that they've got a criminal record and been through the system. But what we see is the helicopter overhead, multiple units. I'm sure they'll activate officers with the other weapons that they carry to take this into custody. But I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up in a crash and then there's a standoff with police. So there'll be a number of agencies that are involved in this as it goes through different jurisdictions, including the California Highway Patrol. So this is a highly dangerous, highly volatile situation, because once a person fires at an officer, then all the stakes are pulled out.
Right. We should let our viewers know, in case they are just joining us here, that this is no ordinary dangerous pursuit. Look at that driver there going in the lanes, crossing into the wrong direction there at those speeds there on surface streets, 100 miles per hour. You fear for every motorist out there on the street. This could end so badly. You think of perhaps pedestrians there walking, but reminding our viewers that this driver turned around out his window and fired shots at authorities. So Dennis, if you're police, how do you even predict what to do on this one? Because we don't know where this guy's going to go. He was on the freeway, now surface streets.
Well, what you need to have is the air unit overhead, and the air unit will keep observation. The units have to close in as quickly as soon as possible and as close as possible, yet protect himself. And it wouldn't be surprised if this person just starts shooting indiscriminately at other motorists on the roadway, because at this particular situation, where the driving pattern, as well as already firing at an officer, but they just don't care. And now you see a bicyclist on the roadway. So you got a motorcyclist, pedestrian, bicyclist. This is a 3:40 in the afternoon, where it's a heavily populated area.
We did see now law enforcement. So Dennis, we do know law enforcement is right there on his tail.
Yes, they want to take him out as quickly as possible, terminate this pursuit. But you see the damage, the hazard, everything. This is the most hazardous you can get involved in the pursuit. And we've seen many pursuits. We broadcast them all the time. This type of situation with a populated area at this time of the afternoon, many people out this Friday afternoon, extremely hazardous and dangerous. And it wouldn't surprise me if he got in a crash along the way and just kept on going, or got out and started shooting at people. This is very extremely the highest dangerous you can find. Anytime you fire at an officer, you've got high danger. And this is going to continue with his driving pattern. As reckless as he's continuing, or she.
Dennis, on the wrong side of the road right now. Dennis, I'm sorry to jump in, but you have just a little bit of a delay, so we're just a little bit ahead of you. So what you'll see in just a moment is what we're witnessing now live.
We do know that this is a reported carjacking suspect. So when that suspect was on the wrong street, on the wrong side of the street with those other cars, you worried, could they get out and jump in somebody else's car? That's another fear, Dennis.
I would not put anything past this individual. I'm sure if they check the record, been to prison, been arrested multiple times, this is a fleeing person who's obviously been through the criminal justice system, doesn't want to go through it again, and everybody's in jeopardy. The students, the motorists, everyone in the public arena in this particular community is in jeopardy because of this, trying to escape. And they're not going to escape because they're going to have enough resources on this. It'll end eventually, and hopefully an innocent person won't be injured, and hopefully there won't be a shootout at the end. If he has a weapon, he's already fired. You can suspect he might get out fire again at the police officers and Highway Patrol that are chasing. They're not going to give this one. This one they're going to have to apprehend, and you don't terminate a pursuit if you have deadly force involved.
Dennis, this is right near a school. That school, by the way, was Mayfair High School earlier, with those students being let out. We're still in that school zone area, speeds picking up. We are confirming from CHP that this is also a possible carjacking suspect, hit-and-run suspect, reckless driving suspect, all sorts of charges against this person.
You know, I've been watching, and I got to tell you, first of all, I'm on a little bit of a delay, so I just saw him stop or slow down in that one alleyway, and it almost looked like there may have been a shot fired. I was listening to Dennis earlier on, too, and a lot of times, you know, now we're hearing all this other information about this driver, and you're finding out that this is a carjacking suspect. He's actually stopped and shot at officers. You know, a lot of times we've heard this term. We haven't heard it in a while, but suicide by cop. Clearly, this person has a mission, and that mission clearly isn't to stay alive or to end in some kind of peaceful way. Watching him drive on the wrong side of the road, when we saw him at that school, of course, every eye was panicked, but you saw at least he had this attitude of, you know, I'm going to stop for a little bit. Just something that I saw, and I got to remember, I'm on a little bit of a delay watching this. And yes, of course, it's a newer vehicle, but all this hard on the brakes, hard on the gas, that's going to start really wearing on that vehicle. Now, so you got to worry about vehicle wear. You got to worry about that driver. He's, obviously he's amped up. Maybe it is just adrenaline, but eventually you're going to start getting tired. And he's looking out that window. I can tell you, probably not trained as a high-speed driver. And that just makes it. As long as this goes on, it just gets worse and worse and worse. The numbers or the percentage that this is going to end poorly hurting a civilian or some just innocent bystander. Those numbers keep going up. The center driving through that center divider and on the freeway. My favorite thing is that if it was me driving there, I'd have a nail in a minute. Hopefully he picks up something, might start, ruining a tire. But right now, on these surface streets, wrong side of the road, going through these intersections where other people are making left turns, I worry about everybody else. I worry about the people that are driving. You think about your loved one, driving along the road. All of a sudden, this maniac in a full-size pickup truck, barrels down the wrong side of the road or cuts them off. You just don't want to see anybody get hurt. In this case, though, you want to see this come to an end. And, there's some kind of misnomer that the officers are not following. You clearly saw they are. Maybe they're backing off just a little bit. 100 miles an hour on a city street is not a chance. That's just not going to happen. But that helicopter overhead, those officers are nearby.
Yeah.
Just want this vehicle to stop. Just want this vehicle to stop and nobody to get hurt.
Well, reminding our viewers that this suspect did turn out his window, if it is he, I'm saying he, and fired shots with a gun out the window of the vehicle. So officers have to take that into account. So many pursuits, we see police right there, perhaps on their tail, like, just within the shot, but perhaps they're keeping their distance for that reason as well.
Definitely, and that's the whole thing. This person stopped and shot at officers. What do you think the response is going to be? Of course, the officers are going to make an effort to take this person into custody and without having some sort of shooting at the end. But the fact of the matter is, this person has already shot at officers. And that just kind of, Dennis was bringing it up early on, changes the entire, the entire landscape of the pursuit. These officers, they want to bring this thing to an end. Of course, they're worried about the public. The odds that this person might shoot at civilians, of course, there's always that, that possibility depending upon what happens. Right now, this crazy reckless driving, 100 miles an hour on Bellflower, it's unthinkable. And now to have somebody that clearly has some sort of agenda or issue, thank goodness he's making his way onto the freeway. Like I said, I've got a 7-second delay, but we're seeing him make his way back onto the freeway. At least there's no more intersections to deal with, but still, if he gets into traffic, if he gets blocked in, what's going to happen then?
Yeah, Stu, we've witnessed him going upwards of 110 miles per hour on the freeway, so that could very well happen again as traffic is relatively light. For now, anyway, we see this is right near Long Beach Airport, the airport area there. And we did also hear, to your point, your observation, Stu, that when this driver stopped in that alleyway, that he indeed did fire off some more shots. Again, we don't know if anybody has been hurt, Stu. As we talk about this, though, we can tell you that there are Corona PD units behind this person. There are also plenty of airships up there as well, because that's the way to track this very armed, very dangerous and armed suspect. Stu, when we talk about bringing this to a conclusion, though, I mean, we often talk about spike strips and pit maneuvers, but neither of those strategies seem like they would work right now, or if they even be feasible to do.
I've brought this up many times in the past, and to be a law enforcement officer, especially in a pursuit type of situation, there are so many protocols, there's so many variables, and again, it's a lot of times the officers' hands are tied because they have to worry about safety. They have to worry about nobody getting injured. Even that suspect, they're not going to try to do something that's going to blatantly, injure even a suspect that has fired at officers. So there's all that. No, there's all these variables in there for the officer to act accordingly. And then, of course, spike strips, not a chance. Pit maneuver, there is a possibility, even at a higher speed like that. But the fact of the matter is that, they're not going to do it at 100 miles an hour. You can see some law enforcement right behind that vehicle right there, and that is what I was trying to bring out earlier, just because this vehicle is going at 100 miles an hour and we don't see the police in the shot with Skyfox doesn't mean they're not chasing them. They are there, and they're not going to let this guy go.
Yeah, let me jump in here, Stu.
How this is going to come to an end. You know, there's always that possibility runs out of fuel. That we're really just grasping at straws with that. You know, the chances are he's going to get himself into a situation, maybe not in an intersection, please not in an intersection, and not slamming into some innocent driver. Maybe he'll get stuck on a curb or something like that, or the tire will go out because of the hard driving or poor driving. But right now, this is just going, and the more it goes, the higher the opportunity, the higher the chances are going to be that somebody's going to get hurt. And nobody wants to see that. And this suspect clearly shooting at officers, and then that weird random spot.
Police car.
He hit
wow, crashed in the pole.
Into the pole, Dennis. You're going to see this. So he
hit a bail. He's okay.
He's out.